This is the new GoPro Hero 11 Black Creator Edition. It comes with the GoPro itself, this mount or media mod that it's sitting in, a microphone in the corner, the flash, and the Volta battery handle, which serves as a tripod, some extra batteries inside, and also a remote control for the actual GoPro itself. Now, I've been rigorously testing all of the new features, including the new night modes, car trails and night drawing, the 360 horizon lock, the 5.3K 120 frames per second ultra slow-mo, and the new 8:7 aspect ratio that makes this big image that you can crop for both YouTube and for TikTok. Plus the new Hypersmooth 5.0 with the auto boost. In this video, I'm going to be giving my own opinions. Now, I paid my own cold hard cash for this camera and it wasn't cheap. Is it worth the hefty price tag? And is it a useful tool for creators and vloggers? Let's get into it. Firstly, the cost. The camera itself, so just the actual GoPro unit, is £400. Well, £399.98 in the UK, but you know what, GoPro, you can keep that 2p. The Creator Edition is £700, but you can actually get it for cheaper. You can get it for £580 if you buy a new subscription to the GoPro service. But you also will have to pay for that subscription, which is £50, making that setup in total £630. I could have done that maths myself. Now, that is a sneaky way of charging people less to get them on that subscription service so they keep paying annually, and if you don't cancel it, you will be paying £50 annually for it. With the subscription service, you get unlimited cloud backup, and if you actually damage your camera, you get a couple of replacements through the year, but not if you lose it, so that's a really big caveat to that. The difference between just the camera and the Creators Edition is all this other stuff that you're seeing here. So as well as the camera itself, you've got this cage that it sits in called the media mod, and that media mod makes a huge difference to the camera. You've got this flash that sits on top, which has got a little diffuser on top of it. You've got this little microphone muffler that's covering a microphone underneath here, which is on that mount. You also get the Volta handle. So the Volta handle is both a tripod, so you can kick these legs out, if I can get it out. So you can kick these legs out and use it as a tripod, put that in all sorts of directions. You can also connect that with a USB-C cable to the actual camera itself, which will provide extra battery to the camera. And you can then use the controls on the Volta handle to do things like start a recording, turn your Bluetooth on, and turn it on and off. The Volta handle screws onto the media mod, and this is pretty much the whole setup. GoPro say that with the Volta handle and a fully charged Enduro battery, which we'll come on to, you should be able to get 4 hours of recording of 4K. Now, that is a long recording time. Now, let's start with my 3 favorite things. My first one is the new 8:7 aspect ratio. So you can shoot in this weird square shape because of the new bigger sensor on the GoPro. And the reason they've done this and why it's so clever is you can then take that footage and you can crop it in any way you want. So you can crop it landscape if you want to use it for YouTube, or you can crop it portrait if you're using it for something like TikTok, without losing resolution like you would do if you took a normal video and just zoomed it in to fit the resolution that you wanted. Now, I know those struggles. I've been out vlogging and I've thought, you know what, this would make a really good Instagram reel, or I want to put this on my Instagram story, but then I've got my massive camera that I'm using to record something. So I'm using my camera, I'm using my phone, I'm trying to get both angles. You can film in the 8:7 here and then you can crop that later without losing that resolution. Clearly, GoPro here are paying homage to the new wave of creators that are making portrait videos. They now understand the power of TikTok and the fact that it's not going away, and they've accounted for that in this new camera. Number 2, the new Hypersmooth 5.0 is really smooth, and I mean really smooth. It feels like you've got a £1,000 gimbal holding this little camera. With the auto boost as well, that means that if you're shaking up and down, what's happening is that camera is slowly zooming in and slowly zooming out to try and stabilize it even further. I've taken some footage here so you can actually see the difference. This is what it looks like if there's no stabilization on the camera. This is what it looks like if you've got the Hypersmooth on. And this is what it looks like when you've got the Hypersmooth on with the auto boost on. Can you tell the difference? If you can, let me know in the comments. As well as this, you've got the new horizon lock. So this was a feature in the Hero 10 Black to around 45 degrees. So you could tilt it around 45 degrees and it would stay on the horizon. But with this new camera, you can tilt it 360 degrees and keep something level on the horizon. Now, that's very cool. I don't really know when I would be using that, but I guess it's quite a cool thing to be able to have on the camera. This is what it looks like when I'm really shaking the camera, moving it side to side, and this is what the Horizon looks like. Number 3 is that it's such a compact setup. If you are a vlogger, this is literally all you need. You've got all the battery in here, you've got a little light, you've got your microphone, you've got a really good footage here. That is a perfect vlogging setup. And the reason I appreciate this is because I've done vlogs and I've taken my massive Sony A-series camera with the massive Gorilla Pod. It's heavy, it's cumbersome, I'm scared I'm gonna break this $1,000 camera that's in my bag. And I would just feel much more comfortable having this. You can unscrew it, you can pop this into your pocket, and away you go. It's a much more convenient traveling buddy than a traditional sort of camera and big microphone system. Yes, that's not specific to this particular GoPro, but I think with the extra features and especially with the creator setup, it's definitely more what they were going for. Now onto some other really cool features to do with this camera. The night modes are actually really cool. These are usually effects that take a really long time to make. With a traditional camera, you've got to work out settings and long exposures. GoPro have made it really simple. The first one is the star trails. Now, I've not been able to test that because it's literally always cloudy where I am, so there are no stars to be seen in Manchester. The next one is the light drawing. So the way this works is you press light drawing and it almost looks like it's about to take a video and you draw something with light. So I was using my phone torch and I wrote here, subscribe, because if you're new to the channel, you should subscribe. But my favorite of them all is the car trails. And I stuck this on the roof of my apartment. I pointed it down towards the road and I managed to take, literally, but with the click of a button, this amazing shot of all these cars whirling round this roundabout and the light trails behind them. It feels like the intro to House of Cards. The fact you can do that with a simple click of the button, I did this within about 15 minutes of actually opening the camera, so I was really impressed with how easy that was to do and the outcome, and I think it's definitely going to be leveling up people's video game. Time lapses are good, much like they have been on the other GoPros, not much different. It's kind of annoying how they give you the interval for the time lapse, how often they want to take a picture, but don't give you any indication of how long a video that's going to make. I find that really frustrating. I know on the Hero 8 Black, for example, they used to tell you, oh, a 5-minute recording will create a 10-second video. And that gives you a good indication. Here, they're trying to make me do the maths. Timewarp, also very cool, but similar to the other GoPros. And now the video quality. The video quality on this camera is chef's kiss. You can shoot in 5.3K up to 60 frames per second, and you can shoot in 4K up to 120 frames per second. I can explain, but it's probably easier to show you. This is what it looks like in 5.3K at 30 frames per second. This is in 4K at 30 frames per second. This is at 5.3K in 30 frames per second in that cool 8:7 ratio, which boxes it out. And this is 4K at 120 frames per second, which can be slowed down to make a super sexy slow motion shot. And finally, the Volta handle makes this a usable travel camera. And the reason I say that is because the problem I've always had with GoPros is that they are really unreliable and they die very quickly. This has a new Enduro battery that supposedly lasts longer and specifically is meant to be better in cold conditions. So whereas before, if it was very cold, your camera would die very quickly, this battery is meant to be very good at that. I've not noticed much difference with the battery. It still dies pretty quickly. It's meant to last around 45 to 70 minutes of recording with the battery. I've got nowhere near that. My battery keeps dying. But the Volta handle saves it. The Volta handle and the battery together can record for 4 hours in 4K, which is absolutely insane. For me personally, I'm pretty much always going to be using it on this handle anyway. I don't tend to attach it to things like bikes or cars or anything unless I'm going under the water. So that extra battery is very welcome and makes this a much more usable camera. You can take this out for the day, spend the whole day recording just with this and one battery and not be fiddling around with your wet hands trying to change batteries when it runs out. Now quickly on to some of the bad things about this camera. The first one is that the microphone that comes with this media mod is okay. This is what the microphone sounds like from the GoPro itself. And the sound now is coming from the actual GoPro itself. It's still in the media mod, but the microphone is turned off. This is what the microphone sounds like with the microphone from the media mod. This is an audio comparison. The audio now is coming from the media mod, so it's coming from the attachment to the GoPro, not the internal microphone. And you can hear it's obviously better than the internal camera, but it's still just okay. If you're making vlogs for yourself or you're making home videos, fine. But if you're making something more professional, you want something to look really good on YouTube and to sound really good, this isn't really the one. The one savior to that is that there is an external mic input here and there's a hot shoe, so you could put a little microphone on this like the Rode Video Micro. I'll link it in the description of this video. That would make a big difference to this. Next, the footage still does look like GoPro footage. It doesn't look like footage straight out of a camera, even in the linear mode, which doesn't give it as much of a fisheye effect. It still kind of looks a bit GoPro-y and not quite the same as a camera looks, if that's what you're going for. If you want it to look like a camera, you need to be getting a camera. It still does that annoying GoPro thing of occasionally freezing and not responding, needing me to manually take the battery out. I would have thought that would have been fixed, and it does seem to be happening less, but come on GoPro, it is still happening. And the most annoying thing is the fact that for some reason, the footage coming off this camera keeps messing up on Final Cut Pro. So Final Cut Pro is the video editing software that I use. When I import this footage onto there, it just keeps freezing again and again and again. And I found out from doing some research online, I'm not the only person that's had this problem, and a ton of people have had the problem with the GoPro loading footage on there. I cannot edit the footage on there. So that would actually make me not want to buy the camera, because what's the point of having the footage if I can't edit it on the software that I use to edit? Hopefully there's going to be a solution to this, but none that I've seen yet. And finally, it still struggles in low light, and I didn't expect it to be dramatically better, but it looks very similar to what it has done before. I guess a saving grace is that you've got this little flash on top. Not a huge fan of these flashes, but it does look okay. I guess it looks all right, and in dark situations, you can light yourself up like this. In summary, some minor but important upgrades from the Hero 10 Black. For anyone that wants to get into daily vlogging or travel vlogging, this is, in my opinion, perfect. It really shrinks down a powerful setup, but if you already have the Hero 10 Black with a Volta handle, I don't think there's enough of an upgrade to warrant the purchase. But for the 8:7 aspect ratio, awesome night shots, super smooth footage, I'm keeping this bad boy to take with me on my next adventure. If you enjoyed the video, my name is Kieran. I'm a junior doctor working in Manchester and make videos about my life as a doctor and tech also that can improve our lives. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and want to follow the adventure, and I'll see you in the next one.